Hi, my name is Kearabilwe Monama. I am founder of Mbewu.co.za and I'm originally from a village called Mbewu in Rustenburg. Mbewu.co.za started as a side hustle. Up until that time, I was a corporate girly, enjoyed my job, but through my work, which is mainly market research, I got to meet a lot of people that were always complaining about the price of food. Food is expensive, eating healthy is expensive, and it just got me thinking, but what if it wasn't? And so I went on this journey to make healthy eating less expensive, and that is where it all comes from. Primarily on Mbewu.co.za, we specialize in fruit and veg. So that is our main sort of food items. And then we also have healthy snacks, things like nuts, things like seeds, things like kombucha tea. So those are, in a way, we are trying to expose people who look like me, who live in townships, to other source of healthy foods beyond just the usual fruit and vegetables. We source our vegetables from small-scale farmers. We work with community gardens in Soweto. We have a relationship with a co-op at Aurora High School in Zola, and we work with a co-op of women that are growing a variety of vegetables. We also have a collaborative relationship with other farmers in the Zurbekom area, which is in the West End, and that's where mainly our vegetables come from. So the name Mbewu actually means seed. It's a Nguni word, and I learned that it means seed even in Zambia. It means seed in other areas other than just our Nguni languages in South Africa. But the main reason behind that is we are in the world of natural foods, and therefore seed made sense as something we grow and nurture to then get from us to our consumers' table. The key driving force behind me becoming an entrepreneur is I've always wanted to work in the social work field. I know growing up I always wanted to be involved in community issues. From a very young age, I've always been passionate about that. But I didn't know that there was a way to merge commerce with social issues. And so a couple of years ago, I came across the term social impact, and I went down the rabbit hole of learning what social impact could be. And for me, social impact has been being able to sustain my own livelihood, but also bringing in other players and improving lives by way of business in a way that is not charitable but actually empowers other people. Marketing our business has been a hit and miss over the last couple of years. There are things that we've done, things like social media that have worked very well, but not every platform has been successful. So Instagram, TikTok, that's where we get a lot of our referrals, a lot of sales come from that. But places like Facebook and even X, for example, haven't worked as well. And there we usually just get queries, but those queries hardly ever convert. We've also tried things like just being on the road. So setting up a marquee that's all branded, bringing out our products that are in season, inviting farmers to be there as well. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. I do believe that it's just a mix of tactics We know that social media works. We know that repeat business is what works for us. And we know that word of mouth from people that have used us has always been what's worked for us. A lot of our consumers have become Mbewu brand ambassadors. They love talking about the business. They love the impact that the business is making. And I guess by relationship or by association, them supporting our business is how they are able to make impact in their lives as well. Mbewu.co.za is for people who value convenience. We know that not everyone has the time to leave their home, go shopping, come back home, start chopping vegetables, and preparing a meal, especially if you run a household. So for those people, we have pre-prepared vegetables. So you can find vegetables that are already peeled and chopped, and all you have to do is just prepare them. We also have a fantastic combo that was compiled out of all our best-selling products. So it's a combo that retails for close to 300 rands. On Mbewu we sell it for 280, and in that combo you get 13 varieties of items. It's 9 different types of vegetables, and then 4 different types of fruits that are in season. And that has been our best-selling box or combo. It's actually on subscription as well, so a lot of our consumers just get it delivered every week. It's not a decision that they have to make weekly. You know what you love, you know what you don't love. Sometimes we'll get a message that says, for this week, can you replace the beetroot with a spinach, or can you replace this with that? And we love those type of interactions, right? Because for us, it shows us that our consumers value our service, but they also know that we are a small business that is flexible, that cares about their needs. As an entrepreneur, I've learned to say yes and ask questions later. I think my biggest learning has always been to jump in and then figure it out. Because if you sit and debate with yourself whether you can do it, whether you have the resources, whether you have the connections, I feel like those are just delay tactics. So I'll give you an example of this. 2 years ago, we got approached by a commercial business owner. So this is a company that owns shopping malls, and they were looking for small businesses that they could put in one of their properties. And it was their enterprise supply development program. Basically, they own malls. They're looking for small businesses that they can house in one of their malls. All we had to do was just bring our stock and bring our stuff. They helped us with putting the store together, the design, and they covered rent as well. We just had to cover utilities. And we jumped at that opportunity, right? It sounded like, wow, we've been online. This is an opportunity for us to go brick and mortar. We knew nothing about running a physical store, but jumped at the opportunity because someone else was footing the bill. Went in there with very little knowledge of the location, very little knowledge of the consumer in that surrounding. And within the first 90 days, I knew that that business was not going to do well. Our sales tanked. Our offering was, what should I say? Our offering was just too premium. As I spoke earlier about convenience, the consumer in the location where we were is worried about just getting the basics, the day-to-day. They're not worried about somebody else chopping it for them. They were worried about price, whereas our consumer online does not care a lot about price. They care about quality. They care about how it's prepared. They care about the fact that when it gets to them, it's ready to go. So we learned very early on that we were in the wrong location, but we had signed a contract for 18 months and we had to ride those 18 months. We changed a lot of things, so we learned very early on that our offering had to look different in the location that we were at. We were in a very entry-level sort of mass market location, whereas our online serves a more sort of premium or even middle market consumer. So had to separate the two. We ran online and we ran physical as very two different entities. And some of the questions we would get is when somebody has been online and they walk in store and they're like, is this the same Mbewu? Why am I not getting the same products that are online? And we all the time had to educate and explain that we're serving two completely different markets. So at the end of the program, 18 months later, we packed up, and what we learned out of that experience was that location is key. Location should be the biggest consideration you make when it comes to opening a physical store. And we were in the wrong location, facing, trying to serve the wrong market, and that forced us to compromise on a lot of things. Would we open another store? Yes, absolutely. In a location that the consumer is able to afford the type of offering that we offer, in a location that the consumer cares a lot about convenience, they care about health, we would thrive. And yes, we are definitely back to the drawing board. We are definitely still seeking opportunities to go back again into the ring that is retail, because we've learned so much and we believe that we are ready. Advice I'd give to anyone who wants to open a physical retail store is that you have to do your market research. You have to know who is going to be buying from you in that location. But more than that, you have to really study your value chain, your supply chain. How do products get to the location where you are at? How often do products get there? In the fruit and veg business, this was a daily thing. And particularly during the stage 6 load shedding days, it was very difficult to keep stock fresh all the time. So we had to have it delivered daily, which increased our costs in terms of logistics, because we couldn't keep stuff in storage. So go in there knowing what you can about the location, about the person that you want to attract into the store, but also who are your suppliers and when do they come in? How does the products that you supply, how do they get to your store? Do you fetch them? Do your suppliers bring them? And those relationships, you have to nurture them, unfortunately. You are going to meet a lot of people that come in and say, hey, I can bring this and I can bring that. And they might be able to for the first 1 or 2 months. On month 3, when your consumers have gotten used to that product, then you no longer have it. And your supplier is nowhere to be found. So you really have to go in with relationships that you can trust. You have to have seen where your suppliers operate. You have to have seen that it is a sustainable supply relationship on their end, and that you will be able to supply your market at the end of the day. So at Mbewu, the work that goes into Mbewu is a lot, right? It's a lot of work behind the curtains, starting with our farmers. I talk about the project that we started at Aurora High School, which is a food garden. When I first met those ladies, they had an idea of what they wanted to do, but they didn't have access to markets. So we first worked on sort of formalizing what they were planting and then channeling it into our store. We started talking to a restaurant that is just a kilometer away from them, which is the Surfing pub, and they started getting their spinach from there. So just nourishing those relationships in the community, right? The impact goes to the packers, the people that pack these orders, the people that chop these vegetables. It's the admin people, it's our drivers. So the impact is really far and wide. But what makes me proud are the relationships that we have with our farmers and our suppliers in general. I define success by my ability to show up every day with the consistent energy that I had when I went into this business. It's very difficult to be an entrepreneur in South Africa today with limited resources. So for me, the energy of I want to build a big thing, the acknowledgement that this is far bigger than me is what carries me, is how I define my success. When my suppliers are able to deliver their goods to me, when I am able to make payroll at the end of the month, which is the biggest stress for any entrepreneur. For me, that is the biggest success. The fact that the people around me are in this with me and we are doing it, right? We are no longer talking about starting it or maybe we should do this. We are doing it, and every day we show up consistently with the same energy, with the same fire, with the same passion to build healthy communities. The biggest help we are looking for at Mbewu is actually in our supply chain. So we see ourselves as the logistics, the e-commerce platform, the transport, but the people who need the most help are our farmers, and the assistance that they need is in terms of input costs, it's in terms of the tools that they use, transportation, project and business management. That's where we need the most help. Our business is built on using the expertise of small-scale farmers to power everything that we do. And so without them, the whole thing collapses. So we need them to be empowered. We need them to do what they do. They are experts in growing food, and we want a help for them to be able to do that, for them to have access to facilities, quality assurance, all of those things that would allow them to be sustainable. The most satisfying thing about being an entrepreneur, especially in the space that I'm in, which is health and wellness, is being able to make a difference in people's lives, whether that's our end consumer, whether that is our supplier, a person who used to make incredible sauces in their kitchen at home, being able to take those brands and bring them into a physical store environment or even an e-commerce platform environment, giving them that exposure. Those are the things that really bring me joy. If anyone is looking to buy fruit and vegetables, or you are an HR person and you want to start buying fruit boxes for your teams, we can be found on mbewu.co.za. We are at Mbewu Produce on social media, and our WhatsApp is 061 545 0828. So we deliver nationwide for non-perishables. Non-perishables would be things like nuts, seeds, dried fruit, grains, flowers. Those we are able to deliver nationally, but in terms of our fresh produce, we only deliver in Gauteng. It's important to buy from small businesses such as Mbewu.co.za because the impact goes directly to communities who deserve it most. Our work impacts small-scale farmers who live in townships and even informal settlements where resources are very minimal. So that impact for us is what keeps us going. It drives local economies to be able to buy from them, to support them, and it really doesn't take anything away from you to make a decision not to spend your money with a big retailer, but to spend it with a more smaller business where you know that money is making huge impact. It's creating employment, it's feeding families, and it's building livelihoods. My advice to anyone who is looking to start a business or you want to change careers, whatever it may be, is that you just have to do it. You have to start. over planning, doubting yourself, thinking you need all the resources and everything to align perfectly for you to get going is just going to delay you. So just start, and I believe that the people and the resources and the circumstances will meet you on the way, but you need that sense of momentum. You need to get going for things to start moving.